Must be another pickup.
I thought we had everybody.
Closer! Halleck! Liana Halleck!
You wanna get out of here?
Hey! Move at me!
Congratulations. You are being rescued. Please do not resist.
Greetings, Bucketheads. Mavar Tigar. Welcome to another excellent bonus episode of Mandovision. Bantha Direct's bonus episode of Mandovision. My goodness, we're off to a rocky start already, but that kind of fits with today's episode. Nargai Tom, thank you so much for checking out this small independent Star Wars podcast. We're so glad to have you here. Remember, the best way to reach out to us is, of course, on social media. We are at Mando_Vision on Twitter and Instagram. You can email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. Please be sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share the show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. How is everyone doing? We're back with another bonus episode for the week. And what a great way to roll into the weekend, right? We have a little bonus show for you. And listen, it's a little bit of a as my friend Regan likes to say, it's a little bit of truth time. I want to confess a little bit. This episode of the show was supposed to be very, very different in my mind, but we are adaptable if nothing else. And sometimes, you just go where the conversation takes you, and you have a lot of fun along the way. This episode was originally going to be just sort of Regan and I talking about why the hows and whys that we love Rogue One so much. Why it's possibly one of our favorite. I think it's definitely our favorite of the new Star Wars films. Right up there with Solo, actually. But it might be, a couple notches above just because of sort of like the weight and the gravity of the film in particular. And we definitely get onto we definitely talk about that a bit. But, as is our want sometimes, there's a lot of side quests that we go on. There are a lot of side adventures and detours and U-turns. And, the Rogue One conversation is in there. But there's a lot of other Star Wars stuff in there, like juicy nuggets, us kind of waxing rhapsodic about the old Star Wars expanded universe and some of those halcyon days of yore, if you will, and it's a lot of fun. It's like I said, it's not the show that I envisioned when we were kind of planning this out, but again, sometimes you just go where the road takes you, and I think we had a really fun Star Wars conversation, and so maybe it wasn't what I had in my mind, but it's still an episode that I want to share with you wonderful, wonderful people who like to listen to the podcast and hopefully get a kick out of those episodes when Regan and I get together and just kind of just let our Star Wars freak flags fly high, because that's kind of what this one is. I mean, if you have any doubt about how long we've been Star Wars fans, holy smokes, we bring up some obscure stuff. Just like we reference some stuff that's just like, who remembers that? Us and Wikipedia. That's kind of it. So like I said, it's a fun one. We get into some stuff for Rogue One, in trying to build even more hype for Andor, which debuts next week on September 21st, dropping its first 3 episodes. And we will be here just on September 21st reviewing those first 3 episodes of the show on the podcast for you later that day. So yeah, this was supposed to be kind of like, oh, let's talk about Rogue One and get all hyped up for Andor, and we start that way, but stick around for all the side quests that we go on in the conversation, because it is a lot of fun, and I think you will have a good time. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the conversation. Let's have some fun. Remember that just this is the kickback episode of the show. We're not getting into it's just a fun one. Let's just put it that way. I think that's the best way to put it. This is just a fun conversation, a Star Wars conversation, and enjoy. Strap on your buckets. Let's go.
You met K2?
Charming.
He tends to say whatever comes into his circuits. It's a byproduct of the reprogram.
Why does she get a blaster and I don't?
What?
I know how to use it.
That's what I'm afraid of. Give it to me.
We're going to Jeddah. That's a war zone.
That's not the point of it. Where'd you get it?
I found it.
I find that answer vague and unconvincing.
Trust goes both ways.
You're letting her keep it. Would you like to know the probability of her using it against you? It's high.
Let's get going.
It's very high.
All right, joining us all the way from Maryland, our good friend Regan from the Come On, It's So Good podcast. How are you doing, buddy?
Good. Greetings, programs.
Welcome back. You got your sweet Darth Vader glass going on. You're ready. You're pumped. Your bucket's right behind you. I can see it. You're bucket adjacent at the moment. Good on you.
Yeah. I got a bucket. I really have looked into buying several buckets, and I was like, should I be that guy that just has a bunch of I got the Lego Star Wars helmets, but should I get real cosplay quality, not the plastic ones you can get from Target?
No, not like those cheapy ones that they have at Halloween time.
I did have one from the Mandalorian in my hand at Target yesterday. I was like, plastic, I can't have this.
No, you got, if you're gonna get it, you got to get the good ones.
Yeah, I want it made out of Beskar.
Yeah, that's a basic requirement.
Yeah.
I get it. I respect that.
In case someone takes a pot shot at me, I'll be okay.
That's right. That's
the I'm definitely going to wear them.
That's the kind of world we live in. You got to be prepared for all situations at all times. I'm delighted to have you here because we're getting ready for Andor coming up. We're going to be living in the dark times, and what better occasion to revisit the movie that introduced us to Cassian Andor than to talk about Rogue One, probably my favorite of the new Star Wars movies that have come out, which is, it's saying a lot because, we did Solo, and I love Solo,
yeah.
But Rogue One, from the jump, was my jam.
This might be my second favorite Star Wars movie.
Period, right? You're right.
Period.
You're right there.
I love this movie.
Yeah, and I should say, we were hoping to have a little bit more of a discourse because my brother is on the other side of the fence. Mark is not the Rogue One supporter, enthusiast that we are. So we were hoping to have a bit more of a dynamic conversation, but schedules being what they are, it's just going to be a love fest. That's
right. I was about to say, let's get this love fest on.
Yeah, you and I just going to sit here and ooze from the heart about this movie.
That's right.
What?
Not only did I watch the movie for this podcast, but I went and got the audiobook and listened to a 12-hour audiobook to get a little more insight because I wanted to know what the characters were thinking.
You want to get in their heads.
Yeah. I can't recommend the audiobook. Star Wars does great audiobooks.
They do. Top quality
They put so much presentation into them. Little beeps and sounds. Lightsabers.
Yeah, some of the John Williams score makes it in there.
Yeah. This one definitely had some John Williams stuff in it.
Well,
It's amazing.
before we dive too deep, we're gonna do something that we would normally do on my other podcast, but like since it's you and me, like let's just put it out there. Reagan, what are you drinking for this podcast?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. I am drinking Wicked as Sin from Pryor Brewing Company in Baltimore, Maryland. And from what I've heard, they also have a place in San Diego.
They sure do, and I've been there a couple different times. I'm drinking a beer from a brewery out here called Made West. They're up in Ventura, and they have a lovely tasting room up here right over the ocean. It's pretty rad.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, this is a collaboration they did with Alvarado Street. It's part of their short-lived collaboration series. So it's Made West, Alvarado Street, and it's a hazy IPA. I did this for you, Reagan. I had a hazy on the show for you.
Sounds good.
Yeah, nice 7%er. All the haze, all the juice, all the goodness. Right? I don't know.
Oh, that looks nice and juicy.
I'm trying to get that right in the camera for you. No one else can see it, but Reagan's giving it the thumbs up. That's the good news.
I'll give it the thumbs up. That looks like a good, tasty beer.
Exactly. So, what? I don't know. Just talk to me about Rogue One. Like, what? The first time you saw this. Let's go back to when the first time you saw this. In December 2016 or whatever it was.
Yeah, what it come out like December 20th? Let's say came out right before Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean,
this was our.
I saw it opening night.
Of
It was
course.
a big deal. I told my wife, "Gotta go. Gotta make it happen." And this was one of the first like wife bucks I cashed in, where I was like, no matter what, I gotta clean. What chores I need to do. What honey, we gotta be there. And she agreed, because at this time she had no interest in Star Wars at all.
Okay. Fair.
She's not the biggest fan of
I
it. She
shouldn't say
watched
fair.
it for me.
Yeah, I shouldn't say that's fair at all. That's completely unfair. But yeah, at least she'll go and tolerate it with you.
Right. And I was completely blown away.
Where'd you go?
We saw the Regal Cinemas here in Laurel.
Okay, at a nice Regal.
Just
probably packed house.
brand new Regal. Wait, did I see it? I might have saw it at the Egyptian.
Okay.
Depending on the year. I think the Regal was open then. I'm old and I forget when movie theaters open. So.
But like you said, opening night, packed house. I'm assuming, right? Loud crowd. I'm guessing.
Yeah. The Lucasfilm, or the green comes up and the clapping starts.
Are you a clapper?
Sometimes you fall into it. I don't think I clapped then. I was like, people, calm down. The movie's starting.
Let's watch the movie.
Let's get serious. Get your game faces on.
Face on. Agreed.
And that's why when it starts and there's no crawl, I was like, oh, what's happening? We're immediately in for a different story.
Yes.
They didn't tell me what was happening at all, and I liked it.
I don't think I've shared this story on Mandovision. But if I have, if I'm repeating myself, bear with me. I saw this opening night as well. I was going with a couple friends. We were going to go to this theater called I'm going to put them on blast here. It's called The Lot. They're over in the Point Loma area here in San Diego, and it's one of these sort of like more high end, quote unquote, theater going experiences where you got like the big comfy, leather recliner seat, and you have the option for like food to be delivered to your seat and everything like that. If you hit the little button, like the guy will come and take your order and do all this stuff, right?
How disturbing is that during a movie?
Hold on.
Okay.
So, but again, the thing is, you hit the button, and that lets them know, like, hey, I'm gonna go check on that seat. And like, other than that, they're not supposed to really interrupt your cinematic experience.
Sure.
And by and large, like, I took care of myself. I got my popcorn and my soda before ahead of time. So I'm comfy, I'm good. I don't need to call that guy. And I really don't want to call that guy during the movie because I'm going to be locked in, focused, just blinders on. I'm not looking right and left. I'm just on the screen. And things are going fine. The movie's playing out nicely. We're okay. We got to feel a little bit of a rocky start because the sound didn't come on right away at first. But they quickly adjusted that, got it back on. So we didn't miss anything. All right. So still going all right. We get to the Battle of Scarif.
Right.
We're in the thick of the Battle of Scarif. Like, we're at the part now where, like, the Death Star's looming. It's going to fire. It's going to kill our heroes. And we're about to get to, like, the Vader sequence, right? Like, we're, like, right there. And this dude, and it's taking every ounce of my body to not swear right now. This dude comes up to check on us as all these things are happening, and I kind of lost it. I'm not gonna lie. And he's talking. I was like, "What the f are you doing? Get out of here!" And that's what I said. And I went back to watching the movie. And I sort of shooed him away rudely, and I don't care.
Could there have been a moment where you accidentally hit the call button?
No. I checked and checked a couple times. And I asked my friends, like, "You didn't hit anything?" No. You didn't hit anything? No. He just came up.
Right. I didn't know if like you got so
polite.
excited during that battle you were just clicking buttons and screaming and hooping and hollering.
No. I checked. I didn't want to be a complete out of line, but I was just like, "You gotta go, man. Not right now."
Come on. No, I would have lost my mind.
And, yeah, I was pretty upset about it. The only thing that redeemed the experience was after the credits roll and we're all coming out of the theater. Somebody was there with their homemade R2D2 unit, which was pretty awesome. So I got to take a picture with that. that was pretty awesome.
Did it go like back and forth and like beep boop beep beep like at the end of A New Hope when he's celebrating?
If it could do that, it wasn't doing that for me. But this, I mean, good on that guy. Like that R2 was legit. But
I haven't seen cosplay in a while. Some guy was dressed as Spider-Man for the last Spider-Man movie. But I don't know if he worked for the theater. There was just a random spider. Like he wasn't like he was taking tickets, but he didn't have like an ID badge or anything.
What if it was really Tobey Maguire?
It might have been Tobey Maguire. He had the mask on the whole time.
You could have been dealing with a celebrity and had no idea.
That's true. I did just show him my phone and be like, stay back from me. Just scan. Like, let me,
So I had a very interesting first cinematic experience with Rogue One, but I went back like the next day and watched it again and was undisturbed the entire time, which was a delight.
Well, after we left the movie, my wife saw just the look of pure joy on my face and be like, that was amazing. And I was like, I would really like to see it again. She was like, really? I was like, yeah. And she said to me, she's like, you never really go see movies again until they come out on DVD and buy them immediately. I'm like, well, I'd like to see this one again. She said, okay, we'll come back next week. And I was like, really? We got the exact same seats in another packed theater.
Nice.
And watched it all over again. And it was just as good. It was still amazing the whole time.
Yeah. What were some of the things that stood out to you about Rogue One that made it, like you said, like probably your second favorite Star Wars movie?
The characters are great. Like Andor's awesome. Jen Erso has become one of my favorite. I've always been drawn to like the underbelly type characters who aren't they're not bad guys.
No, they're kind of gray.
But yeah, they're doing what they need to do to get by and survive.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm drawn to those type of characters. Baze and Chirrut, thank you. I was going to call him Cheetle or Cheaty, and I was like, that's not his name. That's the good place. Like, they're two of my favorite characters in all of Star Wars now, and I really want more of them because they have some great stuff in the book where it's like they're going through their thoughts and their emotions as they're doing. Like I'm the one with the Force scene when he's activating the switch. He's talking about like feeling the wind on his face as his last moments are happening.
Right.
And I found out what that backpack is from the book, where it's just a big energy battery.
Yeah, man, that gun needs a lot of power.
Yeah, and I was like, that makes total sense. But like in the book, you find out like it's really hot, it's really heavy, and I was like, man, he is trucking with that thing.
Yeah, it introduced us to a lot of interesting concepts for Star Wars that like maybe had been alluded to in like early drafts of Lucas's scripts. Like the Guardians of the Whills and things like that. So kind of like picking that up a little bit and kind of fleshing that out in a new fun way. And not so much like we weren't inundated with all this new information, but just kind of like we were just in this world, in this story, and it's like, hey, check these things out. And like it's just again, like you said, the characters really sing in this. I think they are very enjoyable.
And the look is amazing because it's that grimier Star Wars. It's not clean.
Yeah, it's that lived-in Star Wars that we're more used to.
And a lot of when they, even in like prequels and stuff, they'll still make like Star Trek Discovery. When they do a prequel of a show, but it's 20 years later, it can't help to look more more futuristic, cleaner, sharper. Better.
Yeah.
And this has a great lived-in feel. Everything looks like it would in 1977.
Yeah, I think Star Wars has done a really great job over the years, just trying to keeping their visual aesthetic, the way it is. Like the prequel era looks very, like you said, it's
shiny,
lustery, and kind of more newish, And then it's sort of, you get to the Imperial era, and it's like everything is very used, worn out, lived in, neglected, maybe even in some cases. And
a lot of it's very neglected.
I got a real. I mean, and we knew he was going to be in this from the trailers, but I was really delighted to see sort of like the progression of Saw Gerrera's character.
Right. I need more Saw Gerrera stuff.
I mean,
and Forrest, I love him. He's not getting any younger. If we're going to do something with that character, I know he had stuff in the Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
The character does he do stuff in the books or is he more comic?
No, he's more the animated series, and he's also you catch up with him in Rebels as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's spent more time in there. I mean, there is some stuff in the comics, and I think he's referenced it in a couple novels, but no one's spent like a lot of in-depth time with him.
He seems like a character that's ripe for more storytelling, especially between him being part of the Rebels and their eventual divorce, where they stand apart now.
I mean, and not to get too far ahead of our conversation, but that definitely feels like ground they might start covering in the Andor series.
Yeah.
And I'm actually sort of hoping we get a little bit more from him in the Bad Batch when that comes back in a few months. I would like to see them kind of keep that going, his story in the animation stuff.
I'm like, he doesn't do the voice though. They have someone else to do Saw for the voice for the. If he comes back for the Bad Batch, would they get?
I would have to double check that because I want to say that he did do the voice in the Rebels series, but I could be wrong. He's a lot younger. I could be very wrong about that. I cannot remember off the top of my head.
Well, I'm a big fan of his, and I really like his performance in this.
Mm-hmm.
And after reading the book and hearing how almost hurt he is that he thinks Jen has come to kill him.
Yeah.
And then rewatching the movie and seeing the pain and anguish that Forrest Whitaker puts into his face when he's like, "You're here on today of all days." It's like, God, he's killing this. It's so good. It's so heartbreaking.
It's a performance that I really enjoyed because it sort of reminds me of it sort of reminds me of Brando in Apocalypse Now. It's very Kurtz.
Yeah, like broken.
Yeah,
and
like has seen too much.
Paranoid.
Yeah, he just lived through all of it, and then physically his transformation. Especially from when we meet him in season 5 of the Clone Wars, as this young upstart on Onderon, to where we find him in Rogue One, where he's kind of in a sense, he's kind of becoming Darth Vader because he's very mechanical. He has the prosthetics. He has these breathing apparatuses. The cost of war, the toll of war on him, kind of
very high.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's been fighting his entire life.
You're here to kill me. There's not much man left to kill.
Yeah. It's a really I think again I agree with you. It's a really nice performance, and he
it's a really
Jen
quick
have a really, like you said that you could write another book, just fleshing out Jen and his time together. Her training and stuff. And I know there's a little bit of that in the I can't remember the Jen Erso prequel book now. I want to say it was Rebel Rising or something. Does that sound familiar?
I haven't read that one. I'll go look for it now because I want to read more.
I think that
Jen Erso stuff.
Yeah, I think that one covers some of her time with Saw, but I might be misspeaking. But yeah, I mean, show more of that. Show more of that stuff. The period between episode 3 and episode 4 is one of my favorite eras to explore because there's so much to kind of do. You can get into a lot of different stuff.
Well, that's when this movie starts and they're on the farm planet.
Yeah.
And Ben Mendelsohn's there and He's getting them. I was trying to think of the time. So that's probably like 5 years that the Empire's been around. It's a pretty new empire. Because
No, that
she,
doesn't.
because she's like what?
Oh yes, you're right. Yeah, sorry.
So that's like 5 years after that.
Yes.
Because it's been 15 years since that day.
Yeah, they.
So so that's when like Obi-Wan is on his adventure.
Yeah, I guess
Is when
technically you're
the
right.
same kidnapping. So that's
it might
around
be
the.
kinda
I'm just
concurrent,
trying
yeah.
to piece. I was trying to piece together Star Wars timeline stuff.
Oh, don't do that. That's always dangerous.
It's dangerous, but it's kind of fun at the same time to think what's going on where.
Yeah, I'm trying. I don't remember exactly how that timeline pans out. The Catalyst book is what sort of sets all those events in motion of Galen and I forgot his wife's name, going to that farming planet to hide from Krennic and the Empire. Yeah, and I can't. I know they weren't there for too long. They got a couple years, I think, before Krennic catches up to them. So I'm not sure if it's that 5-year period or not, but it's definitely
But
between.
it's around.
I would say
So
between 3 and 5 years.
Was Erso a scientist for the New Republic
Yes,
in that book? Okay.
Yeah, that's sort of how Krennic first comes in contact with him.
Right. They say in the book that they were friends and they came up in the program. And I assume they were both New Republic guys.
Yeah, and I'm
who became Empire guys.
Yeah, pretty much. But the cool thing about Catalyst, and obviously they do a little bit of this in Rogue One, but I really enjoyed in Catalyst. My favorite part of Catalyst, I should say, is sort of highlighting that rivalry between Krennic and Tarkin. That's one of the.
Yeah, they do that in the book as well.
Yeah.
Krennic is not a big fan of Tarkin.
Not a fan.
And I get it. Tarkin's kind of a bad guy.
Oh, but yeah, he's got that intimidation factor that Krennic just doesn't have.
Krennic's really good in this movie too, though.
Ben Mendelsohn is fantastic. Again, another
He's
really
amazing.
strong performance. I almost wish they had him doing more in the flick.
Yeah. I mean, when he yells, "My achievement, not yours," is probably one of my favorite lines in this movie, and it's just so quick and it's over.
And also because you yell that at your spouse all the time.
I do all the time. I mean, spoilers. It's never really my achievement. But, I'll take credit for
That's what you say when you get back from walking the dogs. Boom! Drop that one on her.
Well, because then I got like dog poop or something that I gotta get rid of. That's not my achievement. I'll give her that achievement. This is your achievement, not mine.
Silly boy. Well, I mean, since we're I don't know. I mean, we can talk about Rogue One and its greatness, which we are, but let's talk about our let's talk about Cassian. What was your first read on Cassian? Since we're leading up to the show,
Well, when we first meet Cassian, he murders his friend.
his contact. Friend might be a strong word.
Yeah, some guy he had a relationship with.
Yes,
and that's when I knew this was going to be a different kind of Star Wars story.
It did help set a tone.
Yeah, 'cause I don't think Princess Leia is going to be shooting one of those rebel soldiers in the beginning of A New Hope.
Oh, and that was one of the things that I definitely gravitated towards as well. Is that the Rebel Alliance has got a lot of it's
shady
not
dudes.
it's not like the shiny bright beacon of hope that maybe some people want it to be in other aspects of the resistance of the rebellion. Someone's got to get their hands dirty to make these things happen. And so kind of getting to explore that with the character, I thought was really cool. And like you said, I mean, much like Jin, another character kind of working his way through the gray, not black and white.
Yeah. And when he doesn't shoot Jalen Erso, Galen. I mixed the two names together.
Yeah.
Jalen Erso. In the book, he's thinking about I don't want to do this anymore. There's got to be another way. Basically, he wants to stop murdering for the goal, for the cause, or
yeah. It's
and I like that aspect of it, where he's just tired of hurting people. He's tired of being hurt. I mean, we're going to get a very different Cassian in the television show.
I think it's going to be really fun to explore how the character kind of gets shaped into what we meet him in as Rogue One, because his when he begins having his confrontations with Jyn, when she is forcing him to confront the things he's done. You know, I want to meet the character who gets to that point. I'm excited to see the things that it takes for him to be this boy from 6 years old, you know, who's been in this battle since then, which I'm assuming when his parents get killed by the Empire. I could be wrong, but I think it's a safe assumption his parents will be terminated by the Empire.
I think I think they're killed by the Republic. Wouldn't they be killed by the Republic? How old is Andor supposed to be? I assumed he was closer to 30
Yeah, you might be right.
than 20.
I mean, it's... Well,
And he said he has no love. Didn't he say he had no love for the Jedi? Or am I thinking of another book?
I think you're thinking of another book.
I think I am. He might have said that.
I think it's got to be the Empire. It's got to be, right?
Maybe he's only like 25, 26. I just assumed he was older. Like, I thought he was more like a Han Solo. Because Jen's 23, 24.
Well, the good news is we'll get our answers soon.
We will. We will.
But yeah, I mean, I want to see those experiences that shape him into that character who is sort of, you know, a lot colder. You know, like what transpires to take this boy into that man? Like what tragedy, what loss, what things does he have to do? Like what, you know, again, like, how much of your conscience do you have to kill to become a Republic spy, a Republic, you know, asset, you know, or I'm sorry, not Republic, a rebel.
A rebel asset.
Rebel asset, you know, rebel agent.
A lot. But I'm excited to see.
Yeah.
I like spycraft stuff, so...
Yeah.
I like watching Star Troopers get shot.
So,
I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of that.
His journey, and I really like his arc in Rogue One. From when we catch him, like you said, as he's killing his contact / friend. I'll throw you a bone on that one. Maybe they're friends. Maybe they had a couple beers together.
Acquaintance. It's still someone he's probably split a beer with.
Yeah, it's like, you know, nobody did anything wrong to him. You know?
The guy just had a hurt hand.
Yeah. So from there
He
to
couldn't climb.
You know,
when he gets murdered because
when he's
of it.
ordered to kill Galen Erso, when he can't kill Galen Erso, when he has to go to the rebels, to the headquarters, and he knows that Jin's going to plead this case and they're not going to listen to her, but he's like, no, she's right though. We got to do this. You know, I love that character. I was so in on that character and the way we get to meet and spend time with him.
Oh, absolutely. And he gets all the other rebels who are also tired of doing all this terrible things that they've had to do for the cause. And I imagine it's a little disheartening to be in that meeting where the first thing that's said is, well, they got a Death Star, we should surrender and give up. Like, what?
Well, again, and it's sort of that scene to me is a sort of an interesting commentary on the weak will of politicians.
Of some of the
you know,
some
like,
of the council.
They're into like the ideology. Maybe they think there's some sort of diplomacy that can be achieved or whatever. They're not open. They're not ready for open warfare. Meanwhile, General Radis is like, "Let me at him. I'm gonna get him."
Love General Radis.
Radis is awesome.
He just heard the phone call where it's like, "Oh, we got rebels here." He's like, "Get to my ship. Come on, let's go. Quick, let's hit it. They won't ever know.
They'll never find out."
Baller.
hey, the Mon Calamari. Come on. They're ready to go. They've been oppressed by the Empire.
That battle, the battle at Scarif is awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
The space battle, even the beach, the Saving Private Ryan style beach combat is great. You know, it has everything you want. It has AT-ATs in it. It has X-Wings.
It's got all the stuff. It's
Stormtroopers.
all the Star Wars. It's
like Jungle Troopers.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always excited to meet new classifications of stormtroopers. That's always fun to see new sets of armor. And we got the Death Squad commandos too, which is pretty awesome.
Why does Krennic is the only one with the Death Squad guys?
Because they didn't think of them until this movie, so you know they had to.
I know, I get that, but you see them like 5 years, you know, when they're kidnapping Galen.
Right.
He has them with him, and then it's 10 years later, and he still has the same squad with him.
Oh, I definitely think Krennic has like this overinflated sense of self-importance. So he's like, I got to have this squad around me to keep me safe at all times because I'm #1. I'm the Duke of New York. And he's not the Duke.
No, he's not.
Because Kurt Russell... No, okay, I'm not going to do that bit. We will not talk about Escape from New York. even though I could.
We could talk about Escape from LA if that makes you feel better. He plays basketball in that one.
He does play basketball in that one. Oh, man. Let me ask you
They
sort of...
poison him in that one? Did they poison him? Never mind. It doesn't matter.
I mean, they're
He
very
gets poisoned in one, and then it's like a bomb in the other, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And they're good and fun movies.
Let me ask you your opinion on something, all right? So
Okay.
Rogue One is credited to director Gareth Edwards, but it's widely known that Tony Gilroy comes aboard and does a lot of reshoots, restructures a lot of the third act, and he's the guy who's doing the Andor show. If you're Gareth Edwards, how do you feel about a lot of this? You're like, I sort of created that character, and like, they're moving on without me.
I think he should just be happy that he was part of it. He got to play in the sandbox and make a great movie.
He did, and then he got to, and I know you'll be delighted, but he has a cameo in The Last Jedi too.
Yeah, I know he did. Did he have a cameo in this one as well? I thought he was one of the guys running for Vader.
He might have been. I can't recall now.
He might be the guy who pulls the launch thing and launches the ship away. He's one of those guys, I believe.
One of the soon to be dead.
Maybe one of them got into an escape pod and they're... they're a diplomatic ship on their way to Alderaan.
That's true.
Worst lie ever, now that you know the truth. Like, that's the worst lie ever.
But how do I say this? I just love that when that movie ends, and if you put on A New Hope, and you're reading the crawl...
Done it several times.
And you're just like, yep, saw it. Right on.
It was awesome.
Do you remember, let me kind of go back here, because I know you're an old EU head like I am. But,
Yep.
I mean, do you remember who in the old EU stole the Death Star plans the first time around?
Oh.
I know it's in there. It's rattling around in your brain. I know it is.
Wasn't it the video game?
Yeah, it
Dark
was.
Forces.
Kyle Katarn.
What? Yes, thank you. Like, I was like, that's a video game. We're running around. We're shooting like swamp monsters in the sewers.
Yeah, it's like the first.
The
level.
eyeball monster.
Yeah, the first level. You fight the Dianoga.
Yeah.
And you get the Death Star plans. And
That game was so good.
You're the rebel spy that gets the plans to Princess Leia.
Yeah.
So, as an EU guy, like, oh, no Kyle Katarn in this movie? Oh, well. But.
Maybe that was the plans to, like, that Death Star that looked like a lightsaber.
Oh, no, stop it. Stop.
From that book. What was it called?
Darksaber.
Darksaber. I was looking it up, but if you put Darksaber, it just shows she's the Mandalorian sword all over the place.
Because they had to take that word back.
Yeah. You can't find it from the EU. They got it off the internet.
No, they I suspect that will not be one of the books they reissue in the Essential Legends collection.
Well, that's how I thought when she's reading off like project names. I thought that would be a nice place to put, silly things like that from the book in there.
Yeah. No, I mean you're right. And they set up a couple of Easter eggs in there for some other stuff in the sequel trilogy, like the hyperspace tracking and things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would have been kind of fun to get like some really like random Easter eggs in there for that kind of stuff.
Just silly EU stuff that doesn't matter. Also, if you think Grand Admiral Thrawn was around, do they win that battle better? Do the Empire do they win?
I mean, that's sort of like the looming question of all of Star Wars now, because by bringing him into Rebels, and making it seem like Thrawn was about to destroy the entire rebellion if he got his TIE Defender program off the ground instead of the Death Star program.
Yeah, if they just stopped spending all their money on the Death Star.
But instead, you take him completely off the board. It's a very interesting thing when we get to finally reconnect with Thrawn at some point. But that's a divergent podcast. We can't go there.
Can't wait for that moment.
You and I know we are.
Can't wait.
Members of
I've
the
been waiting
Ascendancy.
20 years for a live action Thrawn.
20, God, more like 30.
All right, we're getting old. Let's just pretend it's 20.
Well, I introduced you to the EU a few years after I got into it. So
Yeah, but so it was the late 90s, so it's been 24 years or 25 years.
Hey, I've been in this battle since I was 6 years old. Okay.
All right, Cassian Andor, relax.
I don't know what else to say about the movie because, like, obviously we're not doing like a super deep dive on every little aspect of it, but it's just so enjoyable to be in this time with these characters, to see that mission that's so pivotal because obviously, you know, we've commented in the past how Disney can't stop being in this timeline, so why not show us like something that's really important?
Yeah, I love this timeline. I could be in it for a long time because I don't want to go after Jedi and see that timeline. Unless you...
Well, yeah, I mean, you're going now. They're starting to flesh it out, bud.
I know. What I mean, do you want to get into the third trilogy timeline stuff? Like television show wise, or like they want to bring, you know, Rey back and do a Rey show at what she did after.
I don't know.
Obi-Wan style. Maybe in 20 years I'll want it.
I'm not sure how I feel about that just yet, but I mean, you know, book-wise, you and I can go read about how Han Solo and Princess Leia got married again. Like, I read that book once. I guess I get to do it all over again.
I read The Courtship of Princess Leia.
Yeah, well, they redid it and changed it, so have fun.
Which one was that? I think I read that book.
No, it just came out this week. I think it's...
I didn't read that one.
Yeah, The Princess and the Scoundrel. It's out this week. Check it out. Well, as you listen to this podcast, it will have been out for several weeks. So now currently available. The Princess and the Scoundrel.
Yeah, no, I'm reading that other... Or I'm about to start reading that other book, the other Sith book you recommended. It's just on super back order on my end.
I had to wait.
I gotta wait a couple months, apparently, while other people read it.
Tell them to hurry up.
I would tell them. I'm just... Shadow of the Sith?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that's it. I just want to remember the title.
Like I said, I enjoyed that book. I think it's going to test your limits for how far you're willing to. Again, you and I have a lot of problems with the sequel trilogy, and they attempt to sort of smooth out some of those rough edges, and you'll test your patience with it.
I'm sure it will. Han Solo is a scoundrel. Like they call him that several times, and so is Lando.
Well, Han Solo's not in this book. You'll be fine.
I know. Well, what's the scoundrel they're retconning now?
Oh, that's bumbling. The Princess and the
Oof.
Scoundrel. That's about Han and Leia getting married. Shadows of the Sith is about. It's kind of like setting the path for the sequel trilogy.
Mm. I'll probably enjoy that one. Hopefully. Well, I mean, honestly, the Star Wars books have been really hit or miss for me, where I like it, and I'll be like, oh, that's boring. Why are we doing this for so long?
Yeah, I've had some of those as well.
But
yeah,
do you think it's because we have a burden of knowledge from the EU? And if they do something that's different, it might be, but we remember it a different way, and if we liked it that way. Do you think it's a block we have in our brains? Because we have that knowledge?
I don't believe so. I think you and I are open-minded enough that we can still have our fondness for the old EU and still appreciate what they're doing with the new stuff now. We'll always be comparing them in our heads.
Of course, it's fun to talk about how they do things differently.
Yeah, but I mean, bottom line is, like, I'm here for a Star Wars story. Tell me a Star Wars story. I will check it out.
Oh, that's true. I did love all the Thrawn books when they came out.
Yeah,
and that was completely retelling a story I already knew.
Yeah, and I'm just here for it. I guess I'm a bit of an easy mark in that regard. And I'm not, again, it's not all of them are for me. Like, some of them have not been my favorites. I'm not a huge fan of the Aftermath trilogy. You and I think have talked. I think maybe privately, but we've talked about how we're not real big fans of what they've done with Han Solo and a lot of the newer stuff.
Not at all.
So I'll always have my opinion, and not all not everything they do in Star Wars is going to be for me anymore. That's just kind of where I am in life, though. I'm just glad Star Wars is still around and relevant and exciting, and there's gonna be a whole new crop of people coming into Star Wars, and the Star Wars will now officially outlive us, which were, like, for a long time I didn't really feel like it was gonna be the case.
Oh, when you got like a book every 3 months.
Yeah,
and that was it.
That was what we lived for over a decade. Yeah. And even after the prequels, there was no guarantee of him doing it again because he was so frustrated with the fan base. So the fact that we could get a third trilogy, even if it wasn't a Lucas trilogy, is still pretty miraculous in a lot of senses.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready for more Star Wars movies. I know we're getting Obi-Wan, we're getting Andor, we're getting Book of Boba, The Mandalorian. I want a movie again. Like, I want best of both worlds. I want more Star Wars.
Oh yeah, and it will happen. It is inevitable. But I think the proof of concept with the shows on Disney Plus has shown that, like, no, look, Star Wars is huge. You can do a movie. All right, stop blaming Solo for all your problems.
Solo did well. Like, I don't get it.
What the audience can't see is Regan just shaking his head in disbelief
It's
at
just
this topic.
it annoys me that they're like, oh, Solo only made like $500 million. Like, shut it down.
Shut it down now. It's like Die Hard.
Yeah,
You gotta turn the lights off because Johnson and Johnson are there. And they want the power off.
no relation.
No relation. Let's get back to Rogue One real quick because we are supposed to be talking about that more than
Die Hard.
I would be remiss while I have you, if we didn't talk about the hallway sequence, the Darth Vader, chasing down the plans, possibly one of the greatest Star Wars moments ever.
From the second you hear the breathing and then just the lightsaber goes, and it's about to go down.
I'm stuttering because I'm so excited, but the sheer fear and panic on the face of those troopers just sells the scene so well, because if you were in a dark corridor and you saw that coming at you, that's exactly what I'd look like too. Like, I'm having a number 2 in my pants.
Well, I would have played dead. That's all I was thinking. I was like, play dead. He's not paying attention. Just be like, and fall over.
So you're going to pull the Reva move. All right. And you were critical of her earlier. All right.
Yeah.
I remember. Okay. I got it on a podcast. We'll play it. We'll cue it up.
I mean, I don't want to get stabbed through the chest or whatever, and I'm not going to serve him after. I'm going to wait till they all leave and then get in an escape pod or find an X-Wing or something and pew.
I don't think you can play. I don't think you play dead, because I think you'd be laying on the ground screaming or crying.
Oh, absolutely.
You're like, oh my God, it's going to...
Shaking, crying. He makes a fist and grabs 5 guns.
Yes.
And that's not even his opening move.
No. It's a great sequence. It's freaking fantastic. And again, this is one of those sequences that Gilroy put in when he came on board to kind of touch up that third act. This was one of his like signature things right here. So
it's honestly one of the best parts of the movie.
So that leads to this question: will Vader show up in some capacity in Andor?
Yes.
He's got to, right?
I mean, they've already brought Hayden back. James is on board. We've already seen him. Like, let's get as much on film as we can. And I like seeing Vader be a badass.
Yeah, and nothing wrong with that. Let's go ahead and transition a little bit here to the Andor series. I did want to talk a little bit about that, as this episode will be kind of dropping the week before Andor premieres.
Okay.
But let's talk about that trailer. And are you seeing the same things that I'm seeing, where this show being shot, on a studio in London, not on the volume in LA, it has a more cinematic look to it than maybe we've seen on a Disney Plus show in a little while? Or am I kind of coming out of left field with that?
No, I can see why you saying that. I haven't watched the trailer. I probably should have watched it before coming back on. That's my fault. I was so obsessed with reading books and watching the movie.
I understand. You do all that, and who has time for a 2-minute trailer?
How dare you? Someone did a little show prep. I was like, hey, just in case you haven't seen it in a minute, here's that trailer again.
Well, I mean, you were doing all the homework. I thought you were locked in.
Look, sometimes you miss the easy questions, okay?
Like
sometimes you forget to put your name at the top of the paper.
The more you tighten your grip, Tarkin, the more star systems slip through your fingers. There it is. That's what happened.
Dare you compare me to Tarkin. I'm definitely Lord Vader.
You're the Lord Vader of this podcast. That is a fact.
Yeah.
That can be your honorary title for sure. You can be the Dark Lord of the buckets.
Did she say Lord Vader's holding his leash?
No, Tarkin's holding Vader's leash.
Tarkin. Yeah. I don't think that's true at all either. Does Vader ever strangle Tarkin?
Not in my
In
recollection.
any of the books, or like in the Tarkin book,
I don't
Vader
think
would
so.
be like,
They
be
have
quiet.
Their relationship gets fleshed out a lot more in books and comics and stuff like that as a lot more of a dynamic partnership, and as they sort of have an understanding with each other. But yeah, I mean, on first glance, at Star Wars, you might see Vader as a bit of a lapdog in a sense.
Yeah, it's like a third wheel. And
I mean, there's no, again, if you go back to the first movie, I mean, the Emperor's only mentioned, like, there's no, no visual representation. It's Vader getting orders from Tarkin. That's just how it looks.
I don't like that Vader was taking orders from him. Now it's all about retcon, and I know the hierarchy.
Well, again, like I said, I mean, they have more of a partnership, so he has more of a respect for Tarkin, so maybe he's more willing to follow when Tarkin's
I think
like,
he was
hey,
just disinterested until he gets that Obi-Wan smell, and he's like, I got to take care of some stuff.
We're way off topic here.
I know. It's still Star Wars.
But so I guess what I'm trying to get at with that Andor trailer is that this, like you were just saying earlier, you really want Star Wars on the big screen. This show looks like it might have that big screen feel to it, but on my television set. Like the scope on this trailer is pretty darn impressive. And like you said, you hit on like the spycraft stuff and a lot of like the espionage elements, the subtleties of kind of establishing the rebellion, the rebels. All these things are kind of coming into play. And like I said, watch that trailer because it has that big screen cinema feel to it in a way that a lot of the Star Wars stuff on Disney hasn't.
Wait, you said they didn't shoot on their regular,
no, they filmed
green room thing that they use.
They filmed over in London. They built a lot of the sets. A lot of it's more traditional filmmaking stuff.
I wonder why.
I think that's.
I thought the whole reason for building that was they could do anything there that they wanted to do.
I mean, I think by and large
that was the reason.
I think by and large, that's true. And a lot of the cast that they have for the shows that are on now are LA based. But Diego Luna is I think he resides like in Mexico City. A lot of the other actors live in the UK.
Okay.
So I think they went to Pinewood, a studio traditionally associated with Star Wars, and they built sets and they did a lot of practical things and they shot out in the environments when they needed to.
Are they shooting the Ahsoka show yet?
They are shooting that, and I believe that's in LA as well.
I wonder if they're shooting at the same time, and they're like, "We'll shoot Ahsoka here, and we'll shoot Andor over there." Logistically,
that could be it too. But also, Tony Gilroy is a pretty hands-on kind of guy. Like he may not have been interested in doing a show with that technology.
That limitation. I don't want to call it a limitation.
No,
that sounds negative.
Yeah.
But it just might not feel as big, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's a fair term because I mean some of the criticisms I had about the Obi-Wan shows, there's a couple of shots sometimes that was like, oh, that actually feels kind of small for Star Wars. Like a couple of like the bridge shots on the Star Destroyer. I'm like, oh, that feels smaller than I'd like it to. But that's a nitpick. And again,
you got to save a couple bucks. This company's just barely getting by.
Yeah, they mom and pop shop operation could close its doors at any minute. Would never see Star Wars again. It could all be gone before we know it. But yeah, I definitely urge you to watch the trailer and kind of pick up that feel. And again, I think the thing that I really liked about it was sort of the tone of that trailer kind of carries over from Rogue One. That sort of like Imperial impression. There's little hope in the galaxy, like tyranny's running wild. And it's just
they're getting fat and lazy.
Yeah, I mean, there's that shot. I mean, you probably have seen like a million memes of it, of like those two Imperial officers like sipping their Starbucks.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my god, it's like the fat cats. I love this.
Yeah. They're so happy with themselves.
They are so happy with themselves. So I love this timeline. I'm happy to be immersed in it. And like I said, I think you're gonna get that cinematic feel that you're looking for, bud.
I can't wait. I mean, I wonder how it's going to look on my 10-inch iPad that I watch it on.
What?
Most of my viewing it's not even 10. It's an 8-inch.
This is a shocking revelation. This is a shocking revelation right now. What are you saying?
I'll show it to you right now. This is the television I use most of the time.
What? You don't have it on your big old TV down in the basement?
Hardly ever. Sometimes I'll watch it in my bedroom.
Oh my.
and I'll watch it on a TV in there. That is what I just showed you. That tablet I just showed you is what I watched Rogue One on today while I ate breakfast and lunch.
Okay. I mean, listen, there's understandable times for doing these things. I get it.
Yeah.
And especially, again, at this point, you've probably seen Rogue One 3 dozen times.
Way more than that.
See,
I watch it probably every 2 months.
I'm kind of in the same rotation as you, so I understand. And sometimes, whatever, you have the tablet with you, you take it on the road, whatever. You're good to go. But you don't watch the shows when they first drop on the big screen, as the biggest screen as you can find.
No, because normally I'm multitasking. I'm making a lunch. I'm doing the dishes or something. Like I just watched She-Hulk at the time of recording. It just came out 2 days ago.
2 days ago, yeah.
And I wanted to watch it so badly. So while I was making the dogs their dinner, I'm watching the first 10 minutes of She-Hulk, and then I pause it, run out and feed them, and run back and put some dishes away while I'm watching She-Hulk.
That's very
It's just.
interesting.
Yeah, it's that. I mean, did I have to watch She-Hulk like twice to make sure I got everything? Absolutely. It's just you just watch stuff more than once just to make sure you got it all.
Hey, whatever works for you, man. I guess that's the bottom line, right?
And also, I don't have a TV in my living room where I like to lay down. So it's tablet time, and then it becomes nap time.
That could be a blessing, honestly.
And there's talk about us getting a TV in there. I don't know if we really need one.
Well, I mean, we have one TV, and there's a decent amount of dissent when I want to watch something when someone else is around, and they are not interested in that particular program. And it's like, argh. So either I got to get up before them or watch it before they come home.
Thankfully, my wife doesn't really care unless it's wrestling. If I put wrestling on, she'll get mostly annoyed. She'll be like, "That they barely hit him with that chair," and I'll be like, "Well, honey, like it's still a human being. You don't want to concuss that guy all up, and like they're still people. You can't really hit people with chairs anymore.
No, you gotta use pie pans.
Nor should you, by the way.
Pie pans are way safer.
They look cooler too.
Good sound effects off those pie pans.
Yeah, it was a good tinging noise. But that's the only thing she really doesn't like. But we're watching, a lot of O's right now, and she's got the fever.
Well, based off of what you know for Andor, what's something you're really looking forward to out of the show? What's something you really want to see come to fruition, pan out, shake out? And it could be anything. Like, just maybe even just like seeing Diego Luna's smiling face again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Forward to seeing Vader. Maybe like a little Krennic showing up somewhere.
What about like a little K2SO origin story?
Oh, that's fudge. Fudge nuggets. We haven't talked about K2SO yet. How dare you, Tom?
Victory!
Oh, I tried so hard.
You were so close. You were so close.
That stinks. It stinks on ice. I apologize. Almost made it. I love K2SO so much.
Great.
If he doesn't end up with K2SO by the end of the season, by halfway point of this season, I'm going to be mad. I need Alan back in the universe. I need more K2SO.
I really hope that Alan Tudyk's involvement has been kept on the hush-hush.
Yeah.
So that it's a nice
I don't want to
surprise.
know. I'm not seeking it out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's sort of how I am. I'm not that, listeners of the show will know that I'm not that person who, tries to find out every little nitty-gritty detail I can before the show even airs. I like that surprise element. I like having that moment where I'm just like, oh, yay, you don't get enough of those anymore because of the spoiler culture we live in. But I'd love to see that in particular.
I think there's definitely going to be a point where K2SO is going to hurt him, or and he gets the drop on him and kills K2SO because that's what he does. Well, and then he reprograms.
And those security droids are no joke. I mean, we fought a bunch of those in Fallen Order, and they are hard to kill, quite annoying. So,
I didn't make it that far in Fallen Order. They kept being like, jump over this, climb through that, jump over this. And I just want to kill stormtroopers.
And I was like, I just want to play Red Dead and go fishing with my horse.
Hey, that's fun too. But when I play it, I want to play, what is it, The Force Unleashed. I want to be Star Killer, where I'm just force choking a stormtrooper and then bashing him through safety glass.
Yeah, and then throwing them across the entire planet because you're so juiced up on force powers.
That's right. I'm that powerful. I could throw a guy to the moon.
Yeah, I was gonna say you like launch stormtroopers suborbitally.
My favorite thing was to gently grab them, and then you just take them over a railing, and you just let go of the force, and they go ah, and then splat.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, I did that plenty of times, and I still do when I fire the game up on occasion.
The game's so much fun.
It really is.
I mean, the second one, the story makes no sense.
No.
But, let's have some fun. Let's play some Star Wars.
It was like a 5-hour game, too. I was done with it. I was like, wait, what? Like, I played it like a weekend. I was like, what happened? We're done? I captured Darth Vader?
They were surprised at what a hit it was. They're like, we got to get another one out quick.
I played this game, and I captured Darth Vader, and then they canceled the third game. And I'm like, wait, I captured Darth Vader. We're not going to talk about this?
We win! Yay!
I always thought there'd be like a comic book sequel or something to kind of like flesh it out or finish the story. Nothing ever came of it. And I think it was.
Is that when the merger or when they got bought?
I think maybe a year or two later is when the merger happened, and
yeah,
all that stuff just got
when they they canceled that like 13-13 game.
Yeah, exactly,
which sounded awesome.
It did sound awesome. Well, I mean, you and I pitched the Bounty Hunter game like 5 years before they made it for PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
So
of course, because it was a perfect game. We've also pitched the Bounty Hunter shows.
That's true too.
But then I think that also goes into us loving the grimy, not bad, morally.
Yeah, the underbelly
flexible
of Star Wars.
Characters.
Yeah.
It's so ripe with characters, good and bad.
Yeah, neutral good.
Shifting alliances.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what I want to see in this show. Where, they're putting this rebellion together. I want to see double crosses. I want to see grabs for power.
Yeah, and I again,
I want to see separatists.
Sort of like what we sort of hinted at, with Cassian and a lot of the other, the other rebels that kind of join up with them to go on the mission to Scarif. Like, show me the rebels doing things that are not maybe the most morally upstanding things. Like show me them making an alliance with the Hutts or something to gain access to a space route. That's
I think something from the books. It was EU stuff. They used the Hutts and the other on Crimson Sun. Not Crimson Sun.
Black Sun.
Black Sun. I was like, Shizor. They used those guys to smuggle weapons and stuff.
Yeah, so show me those kind of elements of things and kind of put me in the muck of the Star Wars universe.
What if they bring Shizor back in this show?
Don't toy with me, because I feel like I'm the only guy who wants Shizor to come back.
They were really interesting. He ran a cool underground.
I really like that Shadows of the Empire stuff. That game was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the books were good too.
The books was pretty good. I mean, again, that was the original battle for the frozen carbonite body of Han Solo. And you had Boba Fett blowing up IG-88 in orbit above Tatooine. There was all kinds of great stuff in that series. Oh, Regan, I'm reminiscing too much.
I know.
But yeah.
Shizor could come back in this. I like it when they introduce an EU character, and it's like a good EU character. Like, I can't remember the Jedi I threw at you the last time we talked, and you were like, I haven't thought of Kip Durden? Is that the
Kip Duran? Kip Duran?
Kip Duran.
Oh,
that was it. Yeah.
You almost made me curse. I thought I was about to call you a name.
Just if you read the EU books, you're like, oh, I haven't thought about that no-name Jedi in so long. I mean, he did have a great death, if I remember correctly, in the Vong books. I don't really remember. Didn't he fight a whole army of them? They were charging, and he's like, "I'll hold." He Gandalfs it.
No, that you're thinking of Ganner Reichot or something.
Oh man, he stunk too.
Yeah. No, but he delivers in those books.
Death.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was such a good death where he's like, "Run, I
shall
got
not
this."
pass. Yeah.
Oh, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, we're reminiscing way too much about the EU.
The Vong would even tell stories about him because of his
the way he fought
battle. That was when the Vong kind of turned into the Klingons for a little bit.
Yeah, they became all about honor.
Yeah, that series went on for a tad too long, and they got a little.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it was 25 books.
Yeah, something like that. And it
went on way too long, and then they just drop it completely.
And they started with the death of Chewbacca, which
I mean, they threw a planet into him.
Which your brother's stupid friend ruined for us on a Halloween hayride.
Just before the hayride, we were waiting at the world's longest line. And he casually turns and said, "Hey, you guys are reading that Vector Prime book? I heard they killed Chewbacca in that." We're like, "Hey, man."
I think you and I looked at each other like, what?
I think we had just bought the books.
That was like our first taste of spoiler culture, I think. It was thrown right in our face with Chewbacca's death.
Oh, it was so good, though. It's still a good death for Chewie.
I'm still mad at Crazy Eddie Donaldson, though. You son of a gun.
Love Eddie. Love Ed 209.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, we're getting a little reminiscent here. Let me get back to Andor real quick before we kind of like wrap this puppy up. I wanted to kind of throw something at you, see what you think. I think there might be a sort of underrated aspect of this show that I might really kind of get into. And that is the sort of developing and fleshing out of Mon Mothma. I'm really excited with the potential of this, of her being in the Senate, organizing the rebellion behind the scenes. I think this could be really interesting stuff with that character in a way that, exploring her in a way that we've not seen yet. I'm really excited with the potential there.
Would love it. Also, has a much larger part in the book, where it's like her journals and her talking about how she feels about Jen. Like, she's great in the book. She has nothing in the movie.
In all the books. In every book, she's huge in all these books. But like screen time wise, 3 seconds.
Nothing. Yeah, nothing.
For such an important character, you'd think they'd give her a little bit more face time in the
give her something
movies.
to do.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to see her get the opportunity to step up in the Andor series as we sort of get into like the political element of bringing a rebellion to existence. And I would imagine we're going to see Bail Organa too, right? Maybe are they going to like de-age? Maybe get our boy back.
I mean, he was just in the last one they did. You think they're going to put him in both?
Jimmy Smith.
I mean, they got him in the costume. They got the costume.
Come on, Jimmy
already.
Smith.
I want it.
I'm not going to be mad. Jimmy Smith shows up and they de-age him a little bit. Give him a little Just for Men in the beard. I don't care.
Yeah, I love Jimmy Smith. Put him in it.
Yeah.
But I was thinking while watching this, the scene where you want to yell in the theater, like, "Don't do it!" Where he's like, "I trust her with my life," and you're like, "You shouldn't. It's gonna go terribly."
This all ends badly for you.
If Obi-Wan had killed him 10 years ago, you'd be fine.
That wasn't the will of the Force. I'm not bringing this up again with you.
I know. Your will. All I could think of was the will of the Force in this whole movie. But do you think Princess Leia is super excited to go and get Obi-Wan from their experience? She hasn't seen him since then. It's been like 10 years? 5 years?
I mean, I don't know if she should be super excited. Her ship is a flying jalopy, and they just barely evaded Darth Vader.
Before that happened, when Jimmy Smith sends her the message, they haven't gone.
True.
So she could, I think there's a level of excitement. And then I got sad. I was like, she never got to see Obi-Wan until he dies, but she doesn't know it's him dying.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a sad ending. Now that I think about we have the whole story.
It's sort of interesting. I mean, have you read the Certain Point of View book with all the short stories?
Some. I didn't get that. I never made it off Tatooine before I punted the books.
You could almost go back and redo those now, and have these stories from Leia's point of view, and kind of highlight what we now know from the Kenobi show, and see if that is what she's thinking during certain sequences and things like that. Like that would almost be. That would be kind of interesting to me if they were to kind of go into that a little bit more in some fashion.
Yeah, like she's happy. She wants to see her friend Ben again. She's taken prisoner. She probably puts that on the back burner with all the torture and you're short for a stormtrooper, all that stuff. Like a lot's going on. She probably forgets that. And then, Luke starts talking about his friend Ben who was just murdered. She's probably like, hey, you mean Ben Kenobi? And he's like, Ben? And then, sadness happens.
Sadness happens. Yeah, it is sort of interesting. I think I talked about it when I talked about the Shadows of the Sith book, how a lot of the comics and a lot of the novels are spending time sort of altering the perception of things that have just happened on a show or in the movies or whatever like that. They're sort of reacting and making things kind of blend. Like they're kind of doing patch work, I suppose. Yeah. They're making the quilt a little bit more seamless. Like, oh, here, let's tell this story here of like this moment during A New Hope from Leia's point of view, seeing Kenobi and the things she kind of thinks about it now that we have this entire Kenobi series as part of our canon, as part of our history.
It's probably better doing it that way than the old way, where they would make this 10-book arc and tell a great story, and then they'd make a movie and be like, none of that matters, don't worry about that, none of it happened. It was all a dream you had. It was a forced dream of a possible future.
Well, I will be in an upcoming episode of the show. Probably, oh gosh, probably won't even happen until after Andor's done. So it might not even air until 2023. I will be telling the story of you and I and our reactions to them changing the EU version of Mandalore when they were going to put it in the Clone Wars.
Dark day. I mean, I've come around on it, but
I may have to bring you back just for like a special segment where we talk about our initial feelings on that situation.
Hasn't been much that I've been so into than I was that version of the Mandalorians, and honestly, still into it today.
We'll talk about it later. Don't worry. We'll get into it. It's a whole thing for us. So like it may be an episode worthy of discussion. I've
been trying to get those books just so I can read them again.
Oh, I just found mine actually. I'm very excited.
Well, like I want the audiobooks. I want the Star. I fawn over the Star Wars treatment of audiobooks because there's so much production value.
Yeah, but not from back then.
I want those stories. They did. I just read the Darth Bane books again.
Well, they redid those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they redid those for the essential. Well,
I don't even care if those aren't canon. They're still fantastic books.
So I think Del Rey just announced that Hard Contact. No, wait.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Hard
Contact's the first one.
Yeah, that's going to be getting the essentials treatment, which means it'll get the new audiobook too.
Oh.
Yeah. So now.
I like those books enough. I've thought about buying them all on like Audible, just so I could have them forever because I like that series so much.
Well, double check on Audible though, because like I said, some of the old EU stuff is abridged. It'll be like a 2-hour version of it or whatever.
No. I need the 15-hour version book.
You need unabridged, all the Karen Traviss you can handle.
Yeah. Well, I got so excited when I got this Rogue One book, and they're like, it's 12 hours. I was like, "Oh, I'm doing this podcast in like 3 days. I got this."
For the old EU fans, you need the full Cal Scarata, okay?
Love Cal. Oh, they should put him. Oh, if he shows up in the Book of Boba Fett, season 2,
season 3 of the Mandalorian.
Kurt Russell.
Don't tease me with Kurt Russell in Star Wars. You know that's my dream.
Kurt Russell in a Mandalorian, but he has the helmet under the arm. You immediately fall in love.
Oh.
Or it's Patrick Stewart.
Now you're going Patrick Stewart?
I got to put Patrick Stewart in Star Wars somewhere. And Cal would be, because he was old in the New Republic, that era.
Wait, hold on. You've broached an interesting topic here. Hang on a second.
Oh, I got him, people, finally.
Who's been in Star Trek and Star Wars? Who's done that? Has anyone done that? Has anyone gone from one franchise to the other?
In a big role? I'm sure there's been.
I mean, in anything, in any way.
From the Aftermath books, the kid, Wex. He's in both.
Right. He's not actually in Star Trek, though. He's just like the voice of...
He's the voice of James T. Kirk's uncle. Or stepdad. Uncle something.
I think it is uncle. I think you're right. I think it's uncle. Yeah.
I got pretty close thinking...
That's pretty close. Though, I mean, most Star Trek fans don't count JJ's stuff, but,
They should. I mean, count the first one, the third one.
It's the Kelvin universe. It's different. It's fine. That might be one of the few. Because JJ is sort of like the one, similar linchpin there, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of his garbage movies. Did he put any of Star Trek?
No, I mean, because I don't think Chris Pine has any hidden cameos, and Zachary Quinto or anybody. Zoe Saldana hasn't shown up in Star Wars.
Not yet. Surprising. She's in everything.
But I'm trying to think, even like the old Star Trek show. I mean, there were so many shows back in the day. None of those actors have made it over to Star Wars. That can't be right.
None of them.
Oh my goodness, I can't imagine that being true. There's got to be somebody.
I was like, has Bashir Bennett? He hasn't. He has the accent. He could fit in Star Wars. He could be an Imperial.
You listen. Keep talking. I'm gonna Google this.
Yeah, Cisco, no. 7 of 9, no. none of the original cast, none of the Kirk's era. Man,
Oh, here
did
we
they
go.
really do
Here we
Church and
go.
State? Like,
Hold on. Here we go. This might be surprising. Wow. This.
Oscar Isaac?
Okay. Well. Okay. A lot of this list is including people doing voice work.
All right, if you want to include that, okay.
But okay. So Greg Grunberg isn't included on this list. That's the guy who's Snap
Yeah.
Lively. But
J.J. Abrams, good luck, Sean.
Simon Pegg has been on camera for both things.
Both, yeah.
Simon Pegg's
He
the
was
one who did
in
both.
Force Awakens.
Yeah.
You didn't know it was Simon Pegg.
Right.
Wow, Simon Pegg is in Star Wars, Star Trek, and the Mission Impossible franchise.
Mm-hmm. If he was an Alien and Predator, he'd be the gem.
I mean, give him time. I would love to watch the Predator chase Simon Pegg around for 20 minutes.
Yeah, there's a lot of actors who've done both for voice work, though. Like George Takei, Ron Perlman, who else is on here? Olivia Dabo, Ed Begley Jr. apparently has done voice work for both. Brent Spiner's on this list.
Oh, Brett Spiner went over to the dark side?
Yeah, he must. Again, it must have been in animation. It must have been in Clone Wars or something.
I think you have to see the face of the actor. Or know it's them. Like, you can't really tell it's Simon Pegg in The Force Awakens unless you know.
But it is him. So
It
that's
is.
something.
I count it because I know. I know the truth.
Yeah, but yeah, most of this list that I'm looking at is people who did voices for Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Simon Pegg was in that costume as Encore Plot. So
Rebecca Romaine? Was she in the Star Wars movie?
Rebecca Romaine? No. Get
Look,
out
man, I'm Anson Mount. Was he in one? He's in Marvel movies.
Don't. You know I want Ensign Mount in Star Wars. Come on.
I know. Could you imagine him being a smuggler?
Ian Abercrombie, here, this is interesting to me at least. Ian Abercrombie was the voice of Palpatine, obviously, but he was also in an episode of Star Trek Voyager.
Mm.
But he was also Mr. Pitt in Seinfeld. He was on the original Battlestar Galactica in 1978, and he was also in Babylon 5 in the mid-90s. Like, this guy's got...
Killing it.
Yeah, he's got, like, the royal flush of sci-fi shows.
I can't see it delayed. I can't see it.
Oh, the Poland Springs episode. Come on.
Yeah. I'm just picturing him cutting a candy bar with a fork and knife.
Again, I know this wasn't like the super deep dive in Rogue One that we thought we were going to have, but
Yeah, but it was fun. It's fun to revisit Rogue One every month and a half. Like, you got to get that fix in.
Yeah, if you're not a Rogue One fan, what are you doing? We're talking to you, Mark. You'll be here next time to attack us.
Well,
I'm sure.
Well, in fact, for like blackouts or when I lose cable or something, I always have a couple movies downloaded, but I don't want to take up a lot of space on my tablet.
Understood.
One movie that is always ready to go in case everything fails.
Tron
is on there. That's correct. But Rogue One is also on there.
All right, fair enough.
And then it's like Deadpool. I think I have Deadpool 1 on there as well.
Acceptable. I will accept.
You know, you got to have some fun in there.
The correct answer is all the Star Wars movies ever made.
Oh,
Just kidding.
that's take up a lot of memory.
It's a lot of memory. It's a lot of space. I get it. All right.
I gotta have the last trilogy.
Another
I gotta
day.
buy, like,
That's another
two.
day. That's another day.
All right.
We'll talk about that another time. But fair to say, we're excited to get back to the world of Cassian Andor, of a fledgling rising rebellion against the evil Galactic Empire and their super space fascism issues, and their Starbucks.
I mean,
coffees.
allegedly evil. Allegedly. They haven't built any giant machines that will blow planets up yet.
We'll wait for the first atrocity to be committed, and then we'll talk about it. Okay.
Yeah, then we'll be like, whoa.
Slow down. Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes on the genocides and the squashing of civil liberties. Hang on. But yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, I have said it a million times in this podcast. I love the period between episodes 3 and 4. Give me the dark time. Give me the Empire with their boot on everyone's necks. I'm here for it. I want to see this, and I think we're gonna get it. I mean, I think this first season is like 13 episodes. Like, we're gonna get some juicy stuff.
Oh, is it?
This. It's a
Is
long
that
one.
long? Really?
It's a long one.
In for it.
Yeah, like you and I, we're gonna be busy from the middle of September, like right up till Christmas.
Awesome.
No, I think it ends on Thanksgiving week. So however many weeks that is, it's a lot of weeks though.
It's a lot of weeks, though.
Well, I mean, we get to 3 episodes on the 21st, and then it's weekly.
Oh, they're dropping 3 right away?
Dropping 3 on the 21st, bud. Get ready.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be busy.
I mean, I love it. Oh, and it's already been greenlit for a second season?
Tony Gilroy constructed the whole story. And he mapped this thing out. Like, it's done,
Yeah.
it's written, it's ready to go.
12 episodes.
12 episodes. There you go.
But that's still a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
Are they hours?
After the first week, I'm assuming it's got to be between.
It's got to be like 40 minutes or something. 40, 45 minutes.
That's my guess.
Love it. Disney Plus is killing it.
Yeah. I actually may have to watch. I just drew a blank on the name. Gilroy's movie with Clooney. Michael
Clayton. Michael Clayton.
Thank you. I may have to watch that again real quick.
Yeah, it's so good.
Oh, because guy can write a script, and he's writing Star Wars scripts now, and I'm here for it.
And for the ride. Also, Diego Luna's back, and he's pretty good.
He's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, and I mean, again, the cast is awesome, and one of my favorites is coming over to Star Wars. Stellan Skarsgård. Can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
And the man who's now walking between Marvel and Star Wars franchises. Love that. He's also in Hunt for Red October. Come on. He has all those kids who are super good looking.
Yeah. Wait, who's he in the Hunt for Red October?
He's the other Russian captain hunting down Ramius.
Oh, okay.
He gets the
I was
orders.
like, he's not the cook.
No, he gets the orders, and he's like, "We're going to kill a friend."
It's been a hot minute since I've seen
That's
the Hunt for Red October. I mean,
great flick.
It's coming up soon.
Oh,
we're definitely gonna start watching some Clancy stuff.
Oh my God, it happened again, unprovoked. All right, we gotta get Regan's potty mouth out of here.
I know. I apologize, Mando Vision. Like, I bring my Tomcast Popcast mouth in here.
Still trying to turn it back on me. Unfathomable.
You never hear language like this on the COisG podcast ever.
No, it's way worse. It's so much worse.
Wait till you hear She-Hulk that's coming out.
Oh boy,
or that will be out.
All right,
it'll have been out by the time you hear this. We'll have a couple She-Hulk episodes in there, but there's one that's a little saucy.
We gotta go. Thank you so much for hanging out, my friend. Tell the people again. You mentioned the COisG podcast. Where can they find you?
You can find us at COisGPod.com, or they can follow us at COisGPod on Twitter and Instagram.
Excellent. I recommend it. It's a great show. It's a lot of fun, and not just because I know these jabronis. It's entertaining.
Let me tell you something, brother.
All right, before this turns into a wrestling podcast, we're getting out of here. Thank you, Regan. I will talk to you soon. And we'll probably reconvene after Andor and do like a little after-action report on that as well.
I'd love to. And, we're going to be doing weekly breakdowns over at the COisGPod of Andor.
Nah, they won't be as good, though.
It's going to be a little bit, fun time.
If you like it saucy, head over to COisG.
It's definitely going to be saucy.
For the saucy after hours Andor report.
I mean, that might be the running title. We don't know.
I mean, that Diego Luna, sexy man. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, 100%.
All right, say your line. Let's get out of here.
A boosh!
Jin, I'll be there for you. Cassian said I had to.
There it is. That is the crazy, wacky conversation between Regan of the Come On It's So Good podcast and myself. There's a lot of Rogue One talk in there, previewing some Andor stuff as well. But yeah, a lot of sidetracks, a lot of detours, side quests, if you will. And it was a lot of fun. So I hope you all enjoyed that interesting conversation that we had. And I hope you are now even just more pumped up and excited for Andor to debut on September 21st on Disney Plus. Because if you're not, I have failed. If I have not taken your excitement and turned it to 11, I have failed. And I don't want to fail. Okay? So, anyways, thank you so much for your indulgences. And I hope you had a good time and were entertained. My name is Tom. This is the Mandivision Podcast. We're going to close up and get out of here. Let's take care of a little bit of business first. Please, reminder, once again, to reach out to us on social media. We are at Mando_Vision on Twitter and Instagram. Please email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, following, and sharing the show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. If possible or so inclined, a great way to help support the show, if you're interested, is giving us a sweet 5-star review. They truly help small independent shows like us stand out and not get lost behind all the corporate podcasts that now dominate your feed. So thank you so much for taking the time to do that. If you are interested in joining Buckethead Nation, you can become an official Mandovision Maniac over at patreon.com/Mandovision. You can join up, gain access to sweet bonus content. Thank you to our current Patreons. Thank you to our current members of Buckethead Nation. The Aspen Hill Chody, the Batman Abejo, Jeff Nail. Jeff's got the ringing ear, a great music podcast I'd recommend. Check it out. Thanks to Evil Circle, the evilest of all circles. The Squidmaster General Brian Broussard, the New Jersey Devil Mark Wegemer, our very own Joker and Harley Quinn Brian and Krista of Pariah Brewing Company in Baltimore, Maryland, exclusively. Thank you to the Beer Hop Brigadier General, Jesus Beer Hops, the Silent Assassin, He Who Should Not Be Named, and Syndicate Ram, co-host of Come On, It's Still Good podcast. Check them out. All right, let's get out of here. Next week, it's going to be on Monday, Star Wars The Clone Wars Rewatch Monday continues, and then Wednesday, the big day, we're going to drop a big episode, probably middle of the day. Hopefully people have had a chance to kind of watch Andor, but the good news is, download the podcast, keep it in your app, and when you finish watching Andor, you can go straight to the podcast and hear what I had to say about it. I'm positive that I'll be positive about it, but let's see how it goes. All right, let's not get ahead of ourselves. All right, everybody, I will talk to you all next week. So excited for a new Star Wars show, and All right, you know how this podcast ends. It can only end one way. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
I find that answer vague and unconvincing.